Yo, what's up, you guys? Welcome. We're doing a recorded video today. Don't have a live going, but today is Sunday, June 9th. I wanted to come on just really briefly and talk about this chop consolidation that we have. Obviously, crypto's pretty boring, but there's always a blessing in the boringness. If you pay attention, if you know what to look for, there's things that really still have a lot of deep value that typically you would really want to accumulate before things break out. What I've kind of done here, and let me know if y'all like the color change on the chart. We do a little Vulture Crypto Gold in there for our eyes, but let's take a look on the journey that we've had with this market thus far in this bull run, and it really helped us put some things into perspective. So here we have Bitcoin, and we're going from the low, like we're going all the way back up until December, November 2022, and we can kind of look at the orientation of the chart, look at how the asset has moved, and there has been some core fundamental things that we can highlight that has really kind of showed us that we are in a regime change. But not only that, this is what markets do. They're going to go up, they're going to go down, but also another direction that they can do is sideways. So let's confer with this. So we had a market low for Bitcoin back here in 2022. If y'all go back and check my streams during that time, I was saying, hey, you guys, look, I understand that y'all might have felt like y'all are in a street fight, but the best time to go and fight that bully again is right away, right? So, after this long bear market of just getting pummeled in price, the best time to continue to make that action, those DCAs and those really, those are generational buys. Like, we're never going to get this low again. I hope y'all know that. But, once you hold, you can be in forever profit from buying Bitcoin, obviously, in late 2022. So we proceed forth in where we had a flux of liquidity coming. Now, this was China turning back on their money printer. So this was that first jolt saying, okay, cool, bear market is over. All the liquidity that was leveraged long had been flushed out. Now everyone's gone. All the bad actors, Sam Bankman-Fried, Three O's Capital, Celsius, Luna, all the blowups are done. Now, when you have a constriction of, I guess you can say, monetary policy, and they're saying, hey, we're going to tighten up. And, typically that takes a year's time to really, really show itself and go all the way through. And so that's what we had, a duration of a year, give or take. So we're talking about November 2021 to November 2022 of just monetary policy being tighter than we've seen in a decade, and now that had started to help inflation curve and start to come down. Now, so in bullish terms, what have we seen? We've seen an incredible start to the bull run for Bitcoin. Couple stats: Bitcoin hit its all-time high before the halving. That's never happened. Outside of that, we have had an ETF that has been passed. So there's, not only ETFs here in the US, but also across the entire world that people are now starting to see this as a viable asset that they can put in their portfolio. And when I mean people, I'm talking about people that manage money. These are going to be the largest players that can really move the price, especially as we get into the 80,000, 100,000, 150, all that stuff. Like, these are the movers that really need to be educated, and they're starting to start that process. So, but I want to talk about the duration of mid 2023 until October. Nobody really wanted to talk much in regards to what this meant, and I want to kind of highlight this time period because this is a long time. So if we look at the duration, we can really kind of get a good grasp. We had a really good jolt coming in like the last part of Q1 of 2023, and everybody's like, okay, we're back up. We're at 28K, 30K. Like, we're going to be at all-time highs next month. That was the language. That was the narrative that we had. A lot of new things coming across. Real world assets started to become a thing. Now they're full blown. Like, some of these things from this point in 2023 are already at like 10X, all that kind of cool stuff. But we see this time period of where we go sideways, and this is a long time, y'all. 213 days. That is not no chump change in regards to duration. And what do we see? We see, minimal movement to the upside and just long, slow capitulations down. We have a move to the upside, then long, slow capitulations down. And then here, was like the like the frustrating part, really, if you want to put like a little sub square here, this was like that frustrating of like, okay, we capitulated down and we just not going up really. Like we were really straddling between like 26K and about like 28K. That's a $2,000, dollar range there. That can be extremely frustrating, and that took place for quite a bit of time, just that alone, that took place for 2 whole months. So I say that to say, where we find ourselves today, where we have a couple of lower highs, but at the same time, we have some higher lows, really from this standpoint here. Once we, in the vaults of crypto, and I really encourage you guys, go check us out. Easy to sign up. You guys will be into the Telegram group, and you'll get all the great indicators that we have here on TradingView within 24 hours. Once you do, we've seen a nice shift in May. Typically, May and go away in the investment world is something that people talk about, but we had a really strong May, and we've been holding tight. So we're making higher lows, which is nice to see. So with that being said, let's do some comparisons. We had 213 days of just sideways action in 2023. It's only right, what we do see in the middle of the year, you got to think about the average person, the average business, the average manager of money, the average hedge fund. Just think about everything as a whole. The middle of the year is typically a time that you're trying to figure out, okay, how has this been going for me this year? And, I'm a little bit more cautious. Like generally, you're going to find caution in the middle of the year. We have less holidays during this time, I guess you can say. The Thanksgiving and Christmas season that comes in Q4 of every year. But the middle of the year has always been a time of slowdown. In many instances, not just in asset prices, but just in life. I think a lot of times when we look at things in that way, it helps us understand what happens to markets. So we are 90 days in, y'all. 90 days in, and this period of time was 213. So the question that you must ask yourself is, could I wait an additional literally 120 days, essentially? So another 4 months. Can I do it? Can I stick through it? A lot of what investing is being able to have the mental capacity to lock out your emotions and stick to your plan. The question is the plan that you set for yourself valuable enough for you to stay the course, for you to keep going to work, for you to keep saving your money, for you to keep getting into good assets before we have these moments? Because here's the thing, after a long consolidation, we have the most explosive moments. And we had a compounding of two moments. We had that liquidity rush in October going into the new year, and then we had the ETF approval, and that's how we literally, it felt like we teleported. Like we teleported from 26K essentially to $74,000 for Bitcoin. And that happened in almost an equal portion of time as we spent, going sideways, that it was actually even faster. So we spent 213 days going sideways and 148 days going up. So what I want you guys to remember is the longer the consolidation, the stronger the move higher. That's what I really want you guys to take heed to. So, we got up there to 673 and some change. I want to actually write that out just so we make sure that we know and that we can remember this. Let's get this in text. So the longer the consolidation, right, the stronger the pump. So I take this as a season of continued accumulation into some altcoins that hasn't had their, all-time high hit yet, and there's plenty of good quality coins that are in that space. Next video, we can maybe talk about that a little bit, but that's the key. The longer this consolidation, the nicer of a push higher that we can do. Long-term holders, what have they done here? They are, people, this is the game, y'all. People that accumulated down here in the millions of dollars, right? Tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. For example, now, if you invested, let's say you're a hedge fund, and you understood the game like how a lot of us here in the Vault do. Let's say you're in Q1 and you're doing your thing at $20,000, right? And you're someone that invested, we're talking $100 million, for example, for round numbers. So your 100 million, just picture that your 100 million goes to $330 million in a time span of, we're talking 2 years. That's incredible for TradFi players, for large money players. Now, the common folk, we're the ones that are like, man, I need that 50x, that 80x, that 20x, right? To go from just 1,000 to 10,000, or go from 10,000 to 50,000, or 100,000 to a million. But once you're already playing with M's, y'all, this is how it goes. You don't need as much gain, because for the average hedge fund, or the average large market individual or players, they're content with just 40% in a year. That's amazing for them. They're content with just, in a quarter, 10%. And then so this is the game where typically we see this when prices get back close up to previous all-time highs. There's always been consolidation. That's in every market known to man. And, and we've just seen it just for a little bit longer duration. It's just an optical thing, but it's also a logistical thing because of just where people buy. Like, this is a smaller period of time, but we had such a liquidity push with COVID that, this was very null and void. But just in general, we can go back on the chart and see that, there's no passage that's just going to come at the snap of a finger, right? Like, we can see these all-time highs here, and you can see, nope, not quite. Try it again, nope, not quite, and then you go. And then the question is, get expectations correct. What does that look like in time? And even that was a process that took 110 days. So I say that to say, good things are on the cusp. We can use the indicators that we have to verify that. Like, we can look at the fear and greed indicator and understand we're in no bear market. We are still in a good amount of greed for this asset. And the biggest thing of the rest of crypto is going to follow depending on how Bitcoin goes. Nobody can tell me anything different because this is what it's done for the longest of time. So if we pull that back up, we have been in greed, really since the beginning of the year. We haven't really clipped below 50 on this daily fear and greed metric. That's letting me know, okay, cool. Majority of people still see this market as a positive thing to invest into, okay? And so that's probably going to maintain itself for the remainder of the bull market. If we do have these deviations lower down to 55, 60, if you feel like your bags aren't heavy enough, so to speak, those are the opportunities that you want to go ahead and accumulate more. And once again, we have indicators that help you guys do that effectively and efficiently. We can go to the invite-only indicators, and there's plenty of them to choose from. One of my favorites, really, truthfully, is going to take a look at the asset risk indicator. That's one way to look at risk, but then also the Heikin-Ashi trend reversal here. So we pop that up, and we can get plenty of good information. In a bull run, this is very helpful to look at on the 12-hour. Anything less than that is not really quite what you want. But this is letting us hone in on those areas of price where we find that there's been a little bit of a downtrend in price. People are selling off the asset for whatever reason, because it's a market, and it's letting us know that, hey, we're in a more favorable time to be doing any type of DCA in a bull run. So we can track this. Obviously this is the last bear market, but we had some really great times, a couple buy signals here in January before the big liquidity push. And then obviously on this consolidation, really hitting these lower points when Bitcoin hit 62K, really got that 59K Bitcoin, that $56,000 Bitcoin, and about the $60,000 Bitcoin once again. So there was like 5 opportunities in this quarter that, people had that opportunity. Now that we've kind of held a little bit tighter, things are looking, pretty solid to continue to try to go up. Now, what are we looking for? So what are we looking for moving forward? We're looking for good support. And so one way that we can kind of say, okay, well, where's everyone positioned? Let's go ahead and take the VIX, the fixed volume profile. And what you can see is this point of control is really holding us tight, right around like 68K. So majority of people have had their activity in this range at 68K. It's nice to see that we held that 68K range right here back in the beginning of June, just about a week and some change ago. And we're now encroaching on trying to gets to these highs. So biggest thing is, yes, trend lines are a thing, but we want to see follow through. We want to see some type of move to where we come through and we might consolidate for some time, but whatever it is, we come through, we break through this big old megaphone, we get some support, and then maybe off into the summer, we want to go ahead and approach that new level wherever it may be. Now, prospects for new levels, you got to think of what are the catalysts. There's billions of dollars that are short, so they may have to short cover if we punch through 72K. So that's something that you guys need to remember. I'm going to put that here for y'all. And where do I get this information? That information is on CoinGlass to see about how many. It's about 72.5 to see how much money is on the short side. And so, we want to kind of pay attention to the 72.5 and this 67K range and see what breaks first. And if we're in between, just know we're still in accumulation. And if we go below, that means we're in a little bit of a downtrend, because then we would be making a lower low. And that would be something more reminiscent of what we had in March and April of 2024. And prospects on us going higher, we can just do a nice fib extension, and we could see that it would be looking pretty good based upon where everyone's positioned. We'd break through, and we'd have a nice trajectory or a nice goal to be able to get to this point here and finally tap around maybe like that 84 to 90K Bitcoin by the end of the year. And so understand that these things are a process. They take time. Only the strong will survive. And so the question is, can you be mentally strong? Can you be savvy enough to do what you got to do? In other news, really quickly, Illuvium is coming out. So the beta testnet is here. Y'all can go and play it now, but it's going live here in July next month. So revenue distribution, do your research on this, because if you don't know, that's going to be a big thing to people that are staking, people that hold the coin even as well. And so go check it out and really get yourself in some good quality coins and good positions for yourself here in the near future going into the end of the year. Phantom is at 70 cents. So, kind of having a nice chill, kind of coming back to its range low. Good time to accumulate. Not financial advice, but that's kind of what I'm thinking and what I'm kind of gearing up for of like the next week, as well as some other strong coins here. Rune has been a great layer 1 chain that started off very strong, and it's still on the grand scheme of things, kind of creating higher lows, but coming back to the lower end of the range is kind of what you like to see for a nice accumulation. If we were to throw on the Heikin-Ashi trend reversal, I'm pretty sure that we'd see some good action as far as maybe seeing a buy. So we've seen some buys here when we got below the 100-day moving average. We'll probably see a buy signal pop up here again before we have another push. So things that are lighter than Bitcoin. So we're talking about Phantom, we're talking about Solana, TON, IMX, Illuvium, VRA, TIA, SAY, like a lot of this stuff. We can even go scroll all the way down. We got Ondo, we got PulseX, all this stuff, Postchain. These are things that have adoption. When liquidity comes into the market, they have good enough products that people believe in them enough to want to put money there. But not just belief, but there's an actual functionality between all of what I just said with those coins there. So, do your research. This is a game of attrition. This is a game of skill. This is a game of knowledge. This is a game of conviction. This is a game that you can win, and you can be the individual that can have your net worth add another zero. And the key is this. We're going to look at total 3, and I'll leave y'all with this. So total 3, this is the crypto market capitalization excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this is what you want to see. The things that are going to outrun Bitcoin, if they are trending below Bitcoin in the short term, understand that, in the grand scheme of things, the percentage gain is going to be higher, even though the dominance may be lower. And this is the key thing to understand, because we're looking for percentile gains, not just, hey, which one has the largest market cap. That's where the money comes from, is percent gains. But I drew this trend line quite some time ago, and this is the trajectory, y'all. Like, as of right now, typically we may see something a little bit more bullish towards the end of this cycle. But, we're in this thing until, if we put this like on the weekly, we're in this thing for as long as we need to get to more than $1 trillion in market cap for the altcoin. So that's letting us know it's like, hey, we're not broken out, but the moment that we do break out, that's when you get all the gains that you've been waiting for in all the altcoins. So the key is, what do you do in between the time span of where we're at about 60 billion and $1 trillion. What are you doing? Because once we get to $1 trillion, all the altcoins are going to fly, right? And so what does that look like? That looks like time periods like this, where we start to, break out and you start to see these market capitalizations really skyrocket. And that's the exciting part that people want to experience in crypto. But the key is this: you got to be positioned beforehand. So with that being said, that's the key. Do what you got to do. Go out there, save some money. Don't waste this time, because time wasted is time wasted, right? And you got to make sure you're on it to get to where you'd like to be here in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, the next, century for your family lineage. And I'm here to help. So once again, come over to Vaults of Crypto. Check it out. It's highly, highly intuitive here in the Telegram chat. We got a lot of stuff that we talk about that just is not here on YouTube. But essentially, I have a lot of data charts, a lot of on-chain things, a lot of just inside deep value stuff that only is going to be privy to those that are in this group. So jump on in. I'll leave this in the link description, and we'll keep rocking and rolling and keep doing this thing like how we can. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys. Y'all take it easy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.